Which pupper was that? Which one?
That was my dog. He's like, all right, I'll shake it out before the show starts.
Did you guys press record? Great.
He like rolled up right next to me and started to shake. I was like, all right, that's fun. That's really fun.
Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dual Screens podcast. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and joining me this week, we have a bunch of us now. We have in the other box, as always, we have Andy Asimakis. How are you, Andy?
I'm torn about today's episode, Stephen.
Are you? Wait, what was it? Is it Natalie Imbruglia? Is she the one that did that song, that cover?
Yeah. Because I am in love with this game. I love the idea, the concept, but when I think about this game's mechanics, it reminds me of a certain game that can't count to 3.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
A certain publisher that just can't do it.
I understand. And below me in this other box, he is Taylor Allen. How are you, Taylor?
I'm doing great, Steve. Very excited to make my maiden voyage on the Dual Screens podcast.
This is very exciting for everybody, for everyone, including our guest, is Ian Proulx, the CEO and co-founder of 1047 Games, the developer of Splitgate, a fast-paced multiplayer shooter that uses player-controlled portals to create a new dimension of arena combat. Ian, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
This is super exciting for us because we rekindled our love of this game, a game that hit when we went to PAX. Andy and I went to PAX in 2019. We saw the game, played the game, we loved the game. We said, can't wait for this game to come out. Beta came out. We were like, oh, cool. Yeah, this game's really cool. We kind of suck at it, but it's pretty cool. And then boom, it vanished out of our minds. It was gone forever. And then all of a sudden, and Taylor, you could probably recount this better than I. One of us raided somebody who was playing the game. I don't remember who. And we were sitting there, and we see this game. We're like, wait a minute, this looks really. Yes, this is. I know this game. Wow, this looks different. This looks way different. What is it? And then turns out, Tom, one of your cohorts over there at 1047, was actually in the chat. And then one thing led to another. Now we're obsessed with the video game, and here we are getting you on the show to talk all about the journey from that PAX 2019. But for those of you that are listening to this show for the very first time, this is the Dual Screens podcast, the world's #1 indie developer interview podcast, probably. Everyone in the gaming industry, be it a programmer, an artist, a voice actor, they all have a story to tell, and we want to be their platform to do so. The show posts each and every Friday for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice, and the video version of the podcast on youtube.com/dualscreens.tv. If you are watching on YouTube, it would be spectacular if you would just hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, hit the little notification bell, and leave some comments in the comment section below. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving us a review. We would love that very, very much. So, Ian, we're just going to dive right into it, man. For those who don't know and didn't think our description of the game that Andy wrote so beautifully was apropos.
Oh, that wasn't mine. It was all him.
That was him. Okay.
PR
It was the PR spiel. It was the PR spiel.
Like, hey,
sometimes you do that yourself.
So I do, but if it's already there and good, I might as well just copy and paste. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say the way you said it got me more excited to play than I've ever been.
That's the sales.
Then it was totally me. I wrote that.
That was you.
That was awesome. All my doing.
Awesome. Awesome. So for those who don't know what Splitgate is, how can you describe it to our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious 5-second description is Halo mixed with Portal. I think more specifically, like we really wanted to target that sort of old school Halo 2, Halo 3 feel. Like me personally, Halo 2 is what I grew up with. That's my favorite game of all time, other than Splitgate now. And obviously there's, the heavy Portal influence. But I think really, there is a lot more to it, and at the surface, you don't necessarily appreciate the portals when you just hear that, but really what the game turns into at the high level play is just this cat and mouse gameplay where people are portaling all over each other, using their momentum to get to different locations and strategic, places on the map. And but yeah, that's kind of the quick and dirty description.
One of the interesting things that you guys do that I think you do really well is, Taylor and I were brand new, essentially. We may have played the beta before or played, the first release of the game, but basically we went in and we didn't know anything. We didn't know the guns, we didn't know the maps, we didn't know the game modes, we knew nothing. All we knew is that we could shoot portals and we could shoot bad guys. That's what we knew, right? And but you guys do such a really good job of onboarding players, even in their first actual matches outside of the tutorial, which by the way, the tutorial, I don't remember doing that before, but it's great. Like, you guys do a great job with that. But the map and how everything ties together seems much more cohesive than I remember it being, and it makes using the portals exponentially more creative. Like, you start by just doing, okay, I want to go here and I want to go over there really quickly, so I'm going to shoot it over there and then I'm going to run through here, so now I'm on the other side of the map. But then you start realizing, oh, I can put this one above me and then walk a few feet this way, put a portal over here, and now if somebody's walking towards me, I could shoot through this portal and shoot them from above. And now you're doing trick shots, and then you start really using the portals to really get around, like you said, get around the map very quickly. And it happens so naturally. Can you talk about the evolution of using these portals and having that mechanic from the beginning to what it has become now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you touched on a number of points that have actually been really learning experiences for us. Like, when we launched, we sort of had this mentality of like, we're going to do a soft launch. We're just going to put it out there. We're going to put out, the core product, and we'll learn from that. And that's very much been the strategy from the get-go, and it's worked very well. But the number one issue we had at launch was that onboarding. What we've seen is, gone are the days of, the old school days, right? What was the process of buying a game? It was your mom drives to GameStop, spends $50, gives you a physical copy of that game for your birthday or for Christmas. Like, you're going to commit to that game and give it a fair chance. With free to play nowadays, that's not the case. If you're not having fun after 3 minutes, you're done with it, right? You're going to go back to Fortnite or Apex or Call of Duty or whatever other free thing out there is. And that's what we learned is when we launched, our experience was hit the play button and go get obliterated by, people who are probably better than you because they've been playing, right? And so now that's really been a focus. It's been a big focus of ours, is like, we have to ease players in. We've got the tutorial, which is a good start, right? So that you at least know how to play. I mean, when we launched, people had no clue what the portals were, right? They didn't even know they had a portal gun. They'd just go in. Sometimes they'd spawn the left portal and not the right one, and then they would just try to go through it, and they'd get frustrated. Meanwhile, they're getting obliterated by someone who's better than them. And then the other thing that we've done actually that's really helped us is with the onboarding. We actually, for your first 3 games, you're going up against bots, and it's just a much easier going experience to ease the players in, so that people basically, instead of going and the other thing we use these bots for is actually it's our standardized test. So we're able to look at that and determine, okay, this guy obliterated the bots, this guy barely beat the bots. At that point, we've got a good idea of is this an above average or below average gamer, so that we're, pretty quickly matching you of people of your ability. Because that's been, the number one struggle for us is it's not fun. Doesn't matter if you have the best game in the world. If you put a pro and a noob in the same lobby, nobody's having fun, especially not the noob, right? So that's been really, really mission critical to us, is just figuring out how do we get this onboarding to be, go from horrible to great. And that's what we've done over the past year, among other things. But the onboarding has been probably our number one focus, actually.
At what point does the game uninstall itself from your computer because you're that bad at it?
It doesn't do that, but that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, keep it in mind for the future.
We're sorry, you're terrible.
Put it in the roadmap.
Exactly.
We had an experience with a very good player and Mouse Dog. So if you're listening, Mouse Dog, we know we're here, man. We saw it, and he was on the other team, and we were like, wow, Mouse Dog knows what's going on right now. Like but we learned from him or her, and the best part about it was, and I wasn't really expecting this from the community that we were just brand new in, but people in the chat, like they would go in the chat and you know whatever your standard GGs, but then also like I'm a personable person, so like I go in there and I call out that Mouse Dog. I'm like, yo, Mouse Dog, you're insane, and you know we started talking back and forth, and then we actually got paired up with Mouse Dog, and like we learned again from him or her, and it was just a really cool experience to just be there, feeling like we weren't necessarily overwhelmed. Like we got it. It had a bit of muscle memory. The only thing that I had to learn how to do was throw the portal nades. But other than that, it was like it felt like muscle memory. It felt like playing Halo. It felt like playing those games.
I mean, I think our sort of philosophy is easy to learn, difficult to master. And we sort of want to let everyone learn at their own pace. And I think the nature of our game, we actually just sort of game design philosophy are very, very similar minded to Fortnite, as much as it pains me to say that, and Rocket League. And I think the kind of commonalities we have with them is there's not a lot of garbage, right? There's not a lot of just perks and abilities and classes. And it's very, very simple, right? It's like you said, point and click, like play the game, shoot stuff, and shoot portals. But there's so much depth to that one mechanic that you can play it like it's Halo, and you're never going to be a pro if you just play it like it's Halo. But we're not going to shove this mechanic in your face. Like you'll figure it out as you guys have. You'll start experimenting. You'll start with getting from point A to point B a little bit faster, and then you'll start learning, oh, wow, I can shoot through these portals. And as that kind of clicks and you learn from other players, like you mentioned with Mouse Dog, people, you develop those skills, and the game sort of transforms as you do.
I sure hope Mouse Dog wasn't a bot that I was talking to. Do you have that sophisticated of bots that they would talk back to you?
I don't think so. No. Okay. Oh, no, we don't have that.
Because Mouse Dog was like, I got stuck on the bottom. He was the VIP thing. He was like just annihilating us, just running away, like the worst game of tag you could think of. Just like it was like a bunch of second graders playing the fifth grade kids. Like that's what it felt like, or like the sixth graders. Yeah. It was like, damn, this kid's fast. Like it was.
You should see the top players, because the fact that I don't know who Mouse Dog is means that he is not at the top of the leaderboard. And I mean, you see those players, and it's a whole different game at that level.
Taylor, what you got, bud?
Yeah, so we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but the legibility of the game, I think, is the easiest way to describe it. Easily understanding, okay, these are the surfaces you can place portals on. When you pick a gun up, if you've ever played Halo, you know exactly what the gun is going to do and how it's going to function. Is so beginner friendly, and allows you to just quickly jump in and kind of understand what's going on, and quickly kind of get acclimated to the different things that are happening. What was your guys' kind of approach to that game legibility, and how did you iterate from when we played it back at PAX to where the game is at now? To get it in this easily legible state?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough thing to balance, right? Because you've got the hardcore competitive players that we really want to make sure they're satisfied, and ultimately that is the goal. We want this to be an esport, so you sort of can't make sacrifices to make the game too easy, right? But at the same time, we want the game to be easy. The example I always give is one of the first maps we ever made was Outpost, the space map. And the first version of that map did not have bridges. It just had floating platforms. And the initial thought was, well, why do you need a bridge? You've got a portal gun. You should be teleporting across the bridge. But what we realized is the best players, they're going to teleport across the bridge anyway because it's faster and safer. But it doesn't take anything away from that high-level gameplay to let the noobs run across the bridge, right? You're no better off doing that, but if you're a new player and you don't know how to, you haven't made that connection of I can teleport across, we still want you to be able to be comfortable and just run across the bridge. So I think that's kind of our mentality. And then also, just in terms of gunplay, a lot of that is just personal preference in terms of, generous hitboxes and low recoil. It's very much modeled after my own personal preference of, Halo 2 and Halo 3, right? So I think a lot of that kind of bias just bleeds through and lends itself very naturally to this style of game.
Andy?
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't recall this game being like this buttery smooth when I first played it.
Yeah.
Like, I recall back when I first played, I think it was PAX, I want to say, 2019. Like, it was all about the gimmick of it. Like, okay, it's Halo, Portals, I get it, it's fun, it's amusing. But like, how much depth is there to this game, really? And then you come back like 6 months, 8 months later to a year, and it's like a whole fresh experience. What was the biggest lesson between what it was a year ago to what it is today for the team?
I mean, I touched on this earlier. I think the biggest lesson definitely was the onboarding and how mission critical that is. In terms of just polish and everything else, there hasn't really been necessarily a lesson. It's just kind of been a relentless mindset of demanding perfection of ourselves, and just constantly, being extremely critical of ourselves and comparing ourselves. We're not comparing ourselves to other indie games. We're comparing ourselves to Halo and Fortnite and Call of Duty. And that's kind of the lens. Those are the games that, a lot of us play. And that's the lens at which we look through and look at our own game. And, it doesn't matter if it's good for an indie because it's a Halo style shooter. So anyone who plays this game, they're not going to say, oh, it's an indie game. We'll cut them some slack. It doesn't have to be as good. They're going to say, is this better than Halo? And if it's not, then it's not going to succeed. And I think it is better than Halo. I mean, I legitimately think we do a lot of things better than them. They're a much bigger team. They will always probably have slightly better graphics than us. But
your game also came out.
That's debatable, the better graphics part.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
we'll see.
But your game came out too, so you have that on them as well.
Yes,
that's true. That's
343. Just listen, we're just stating obvious facts right now.
Yeah.
Do you guys get any backlash for the whole Halo thing? Like, do you have people that like are super hardcore Halo people that could just come in here and just like, because it's free to play, so there's no real barrier to entry for these people to come in and just say whatever they want to do.
I mean, there's always the haters. You get the occasional person who's like, oh, this is a Chinese Halo or whatever. But it's like, go look at our Steam reviews, right? Like, we're 95% positive. Like, most people think that this is legit, as do we. So there's always going to be people that don't like it, or they find fault with the game because it just doesn't match their style,
doesn't
right?
Click with them, yeah.
This game is not for everyone. But in general, people are very positive towards it.
How did the monetization structure? How did all that change over the course of your initial release, like all that stuff? How did that come about? Because obviously, Fortnite started a battle pass in the time that you guys did this. Like a lot of crazy. All these games have found new ways to make money with a free to play model. So like, how did you guys land where you landed?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're still figuring that out. Monetization has never been and isn't a priority of ours. It obviously will have to be at some point, right? But it's not yet. At launch, we had we had nothing other than we had a founders pack where you could spend $20 and get a cool character and some weapon skins. That was the start. Shortly after launch, we modeled it after Apex Legends. There was not much thought put into that other than we don't have time to figure this out. Apex probably figured it out, so let's do what they did. We pretty quickly realized that we didn't like that model. And it didn't really work well for us. So in, I want to say June for season 2, we sort of switched our strategy, which was more of a Fortnite model. But the big focus for us was quality over quantity. In Apex, you've got these loot boxes, and you just have to create a ton of crap to have that model work, because it sort of depends on the fact that you might get something good, but most of the time you're getting stuff that isn't good. And that requires a lot of resources. But it also just ends up with everyone's locker being filled with items that they don't care about,
right?
Which we just didn't think reflected well on the game. What ended up happening is we sort of had a reputation of having bad skins, and it didn't matter. We added a lot of very good skins, but because 95% of them were bad, like everyone looked at the game and said, "Oh, the game has bad skins." So for season 2, we said we're just going to simplify. We're going to have a battle pass because it works. Everybody likes a battle pass, or most people like a battle pass. And we're going to have an item shop, and we're going to just focus on making really, really, really awesome skins. And there's no loot box, so we don't have to worry about like filling the loot box with crap, because it's just very simple. Hey, here's a sick skin, pay $10 or whatever, and it's yours, and that's it. And we do bundles, and I'm sure eventually this will become more of a focus, and we'll probably do. I don't know. I mean, it literally hasn't been a thought. Right now, I'm focused on improving the game and coming to console and growing the user base. And we have awesome skins, so I think our monetization will probably be. I mean, it's decent already. I'm sure we could improve it, but it's just not a huge priority at the moment.
Taylor?
So as far as the competitive aspect goes, and reaching esports levels and things like that, with a team of your guys' size, which from what I can tell, you have less than 10 people total?
No, we're so the core team is 8 people, gotcha. But if you include the artists, there's about 25 of us.
Okay. Sweet. Okay. But still a very small team in comparison to, most of the other major esports shooters out there. How do you guys as a small indie team break into that scene, and what are you guys doing to, kind of move into the more competitive side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think we hope that we'll grow, right? But I think to start, esports is not a focus yet. It's sort of it's something we want to make sure we're satisfying and doing somewhat, but it's not. It doesn't matter if we have a great esport if we don't grow. So right now we do tournaments, and we do a lot of community events, and some tournaments are with pro teams. We actually had the best turnout we've ever had last tournament. I think it was last weekend. We had 8 pro teams and 16 semi-pro teams. So there's a lot of people out there that already want this to be an esport. So we're definitely doing that. But I think the focus right now is coming to console and blowing this thing up, and then we'll grow, we'll expand the team, and we'll make esports more of a top priority.
Sometimes I wonder when I play this game why this combination of Halo and Portal hasn't been done before, and again, why it works so well when you're playing it. Where did the idea come from to marry these two very distinct gameplay styles? The creating portals and that sandbox style Halo gameplay. What was the origin story behind Splitgate?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. So started off, there was no Halo element to it. It was just I played Portal. I played Portal 2. I fell in love with those games, and I thought, man, wouldn't it be fun to have a gun right now and shoot PvP with portals, right? That was the initial idea. I actually that was probably in 2012, and then in 2014 I was studying computer science at Stanford, wanted to learn Unreal Engine 4, so I did an independent study with my advisor where I learned Unreal. And kind of the first project for that independent study was this prototype of a PvP FPS game with portals. And at the time, it was very, very rough around the edges, right? There was one gun, extremely generic shooting mechanics and movement, but you had this portal gun, and that was it. And going into the senior project fair, I had only tested it with my 2 laptops at that point. So I had no clue if it was going to be fun. I had just tested and verified that I could play with 2 people, but I didn't know if it actually was fun. And I had 1 map, and I asked 7 of my friends to come over and play test the game. I just wanted 1 hour because this is going to be on 8 laptops at the senior project fair. So I need to make sure it works. And everybody, this is the weekend before finals. No one has time. Nobody wants to come test it, right? But I get everyone to agree. Okay, fine. We'll play 1 hour. We ended up playing for 5 hours straight that day. And everyone, of course, has finals to study for, final papers, right? We're all busy, but we were hooked on this game instantly. And that was kind of the turning point for me where I said, wow, like this actually could be legit, because at the time I didn't think I'd do anything with it. I just thought this is a cool idea. I want to learn Unreal. Might as well use this to be the thing that I learn Unreal doing. And I thought, I'd probably go to the games industry. I didn't think I'd start a company. But anyway, I mean, that was the point where I started thinking like, wow, I could really do this. And then actually fast forward, I did a play test. So that was the first thing. I then went back to school, it kind of dropped the ball for a year or two. And then when I was getting my master's, I decided to pursue this full time. And I did a play test with friends, I want to say like about 3 months into development, separate from this first play test. This was like the actual Splitgate, right? And we had a discussion early on. This is all coming back to me as I
No, this is great. This is why we do these shows, man. This is why we do them, because these stories get lost, like you don't hear these stories often.
Anyway, so I had like, I don't know, 8 or 10 people come over, and we would do play tests like once a month. Probably like the second we had a prototype that actually worked, we would just play test as often as possible. And there was a very early discussion we had where we were just talking about kind of like the shooting mechanics, right? Because that is the most important thing in the game, more than anything, is the shooting mechanics. Because, I talked earlier about the first few minutes have to be fun, right? You're not going to sell someone, unless they've played Portal before, you're not going to sell them in the first few minutes off of the Portal. You're going to sell them on the gunplay. And so we talked about like, what should this game feel like? Should it be like Call of Duty, where you're, aim down sights, it's a few bullets to kill somebody? Should it be like Quake, right, where you're bee hopping all over the place and you've got this large health pool, and or should it be like old school Halo? And that was, we had this big discussion, and pretty much everyone agreed it should either be a Quake style or a Halo style shooter. I'm obviously biased towards Halo, but we talked about it, and we just felt like we thought that the Halo style shooter would fit the current market better than the Quake style shooter. It's a little more beginner friendly. There's not as much, I guess, Halo style shooters out there. It's a little less old school. There's a lot of people in their mid-20s that miss that style of game. But I feel like, when you start talking Unreal Tournament or Quake, your demographic is much smaller.
Sure.
And I just think it works very well for us. We wanted to have a health pool where you've got enough time to survive, right? That you actually are encouraged to use the portals. Because if it's Call of Duty, then it's like, why would I portal when I kill you in 2 bullets, right? I should just shoot instead of trying to dance around you. And if it's Quake, then I can just run away forever, right? Like the second I'm almost dead, I just portal, and you're not going to catch me because I portal and I close my portal and I'm out. So we just thought that this kind of like Halo style shooter worked really well, and would reach the masses. So that's how we ultimately settled on the old school Halo feel to it.
So let's go ahead, Taylor.
Yeah, I was just wondering, in those early days, after you kind of started picking the project back up again, what did the game look like? You kind of finalized, like, you wanted it to be more of that Halo feel with the portal guns and things like that. But I mean, even the difference from when we played it at PAX to now, the game looks totally different. So what did it look like, very early on when you guys picked the project back up? And
yeah, I mean, it looked way worse. So when we started, it was 2 of us. It was my co-founder Nick and myself. And then about 6 months in, so I was actually the first level designer, right? So before we had any artists, I was the one, because I've done Halo Forge, so that instantly made me more qualified than Nick. But so when we started, I made the maps, and it started off just a block out, right? So there was no textures, but then we bought like an Unreal Engine asset for $30, and I tried to make it look cool, and it looked horrible. And I'd say about 8 months in, we hired a level designer, and he was phenomenal. I mean, we've obviously come a long way since then, but the premise of what he was a one-man show. His name is Alexander, and extremely talented guy. And basically we said, okay, we'll buy you whatever asset packs you want, right? So there was no custom art. It was just, high quality marketplace assets, and you're going to be the one to put them together to make the map look cool. And that got us from looking god awful to looking pretty good, right? We still looked generic, but we looked like, okay, this is like a legit indie game. It's not Halo, but it's a legit indie game, as opposed to a bad indie game. And then we hired a weapons artist because we felt that, being a first-person shooter, the one thing that couldn't be generic was the gun. The guns had to be unique. So that was kind of the plan. It was the four of us, right? We're going to have custom guns, and everything else will be generic. About a year into development, so this is now, I think, January of 2018 is when we did get some angel funding. So at that point, we were able to do a lot more. And one of the first hires we made was Danny Floyd, who Danny's been in the industry for 15 years. He was at EA for 7 years. He's worked on a lot of AAA games. And he basically came in, in January of 2018 and said, okay, we're building out the art team. We're starting over on everything. And so there was sort of a transition period over the next year where we were kind of one by one going through and saying like, okay, let's start with the stuff that's the worst and let's upgrade that. And, so we sort of had some stuff that was like new and custom and some stuff that was old, but maybe it was the better stuff that we did previously. And then I think just the team has really just gotten a lot better. Especially like the environment artists, they just keep getting better and better and better. And every time they make a new map, the bar gets higher. And then I say, guys, now you have to redo the old maps because, this is where everything is. And now you did this. So now we have to do that. And then the next map, they do it again. And it's actually, it's kind of funny how many times they've redone Outpost. I think it's gone. It's I don't even know. It's gone through so many iterations. But they don't want to touch Outpost again.
well, speaking of upgrading and what's old is new and all this other stuff, you're trying to get this thing on console, and we just got a dump of 2 brand new consoles, both that have pretty good backwards compatibility options and all sorts of services that a game like Splitgate could definitely find a home on. What are you guys looking into as far as console release and what step are you up to now? What are your goals? Not necessarily what you have on paper that you're going to do, but what are your aspirations for console launch?
Yeah, so we haven't, just to clear the air, we have not announced which consoles we're doing yet, but we are making very good progress. So we're that's all I'm going to say on that front. But we're making very good progress. We hit our target frame rate a few weeks ago, and we're pretty much done with one console. And we're making good progress on another one.
Are you guys handling that yourself, or I know a lot of studios will port that or sub that out to a porting studio or something like that? Are you guys doing that yourself?
Yeah, we're doing it ourselves.
Awesome. Awesome. So, that's got to be an experience for you guys, to learn. It's
a lot. It'll be a lot easier the next time. In the I'm not working on another game, so don't get any ideas. But if we have to do this again on a new game 5 years from now, it's going to be 1,000 times easier. Because there's a lot of stuff where it's just reading through documentation and trying to figure out what does this mean, and trial and error.
Sure.
But then once you do it, it's okay, if I had to do this again, it's pretty easy. Well, not. It's still it's a lot of work, but it would be drastically easier the next time around. Right. But yeah, our aspirations, to be totally honest, we want to see this thing blow up. We want this to be at the top of Twitch. We fully believe that Splitgate can and will be the next big thing. Does that mean it's the next Fortnite? I don't know. I mean, does that mean it's the next Rocket League? Like, obviously there's a very wide range of success. But we want the game to be successful. We have a lot of confidence in the game. We've gone a year and a half doing almost no marketing and just constantly improving. And we're seeing our retention numbers just going through the roof. And we're at a state now where we feel like, the timing is right. We come to console, that's going to bring in an influx of players. We start doing some marketing. Obviously we don't have a giant budget, but we do have somewhat of a budget. And that's right now, the other thing we're doing is every dollar we make off of skins is going towards the marketing budget. So we're just, we're not making a ton, but
Sure.
We're making enough that we think we can make a splash.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
We've done so many interviews where I lie in wait for the perfect quote, and there's been like 10 so far this entire interview.
It's true. I mean, it's you have such a.
You guys are easy to talk to. So
that's good. That's very good. Can we put that? Because is that a quote right there? Easy to talk to.
That goes on the Patreon right there.
It goes right on the Patreon. So let's talk about your monetization and all of that stuff. Just so it's hard for us to wrap our head around how, especially from an indie studio standpoint, with no marketing, without a big publishing arm behind them saying buy our shit, it's free, but there's stuff you can buy. What have those numbers been like for you as far as converting your hardest core players into your top buyers, but also converting those casual-ish players into hardcore players? Like, what has that process been like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just community driven, to be honest. And I don't know how well that works at scale, but I really think community is extremely important.
Sure.
You saw, right? Perfect example. The fact that you guys are even talking to me is because Tom was in a streamer's chat talking to him. And we do that all the time. We talk to streamers. We've got a Discord that we're extremely active. And we're just, I'm not lying when I tell you I have made like probably 10 of my closest friends now are just random dudes that I've gotten to know over the past 6 months to a year playing Splitgate with. And it's awesome. And it's a ton of fun. And but those are the people that become the super fans, right? Those are the people that spend hundreds of dollars on skins. Because, it's just sort of a virtuous cycle. They play the game, they have fun. They come into our community, they talk to the devs, they talk to the other community members, and they get hooked, and then ultimately, we have very cool skins, and we've got a skins request channel as well. We've one of our most hardcore members of the community, Steve the Goat. He's played, I think, like 250 days in a row.
Oh my God.
It's crazy. And it was months ago. He asked us, he said, I really want to have a zombie pirate skin. And, we made a zombie pirate skin. And obviously, people love that type of stuff. And that's, we don't know what we're doing really with skins. Like, we're just looking for cool ideas. And if somebody who's got a 250 play streak in our community says, hey, this would be cool, like, we're going to take that into account. And I think the community sees that and recognizes that.
That's awesome. Before we get into rapid fire, I want to kick it around the horn. We're going to start with Taylor. Taylor, final question.
How do you stack up against the best players in your community?
Ooh.
You personally?
I'm up there. We actually, in our tournament, my team, it was crazy. My team got second. It went to a best of 7 in the championship game. The final game, it was 50-49. Actually, the final game, so game 7, 3-3, right? And it's 49-49 team deathmatch. And literally, it comes down to their best player and one of our players both have sniper rifles. They literally both peak at the exact same time, shoot at the exact same time. Their player gets a headshot, our player gets a chest shot, and so that was the end of it.
Wow.
So I am not the best on my team. I'm the objective player, which normally means the guy with the worst aim on the team. But
sure. Guilty.
So, but yeah, I'm up there. I'm definitely in the top, group of players.
Andy,
this is borderline rapid fire, but who cares? What advice would you have given Cliff Bleszinski?
You mean in the context of lawbreakers?
Yes, that is the only context that matters right now.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I would give this advice to anyone, which is try to become data-driven as early as possible. I don't know if they did that. I think a lot of mobile games do that, and I think a lot of PC games like Fortnite are starting to do that. But if you can't track stuff and measure stuff, it's very difficult to improve. And one of the examples I'll give is we released a new map during the summer, and we had a lot of the hardcore players very vocally didn't like the map. And we've made some changes so people like it now. But we look at the data in addition to feedback, and if you just listen to that vocal minority that's very, very passionate, it's easy to convince yourself that this map sucks. But if you look at the data, what we saw is this is actually the second best performing map in the game. So a lot of times you have to sort of take everything with a grain of salt, listen to your community, but also try to become metrics driven and, measure everything.
Yeah, it really speaks volumes when a game has no marketing behind it, no household name, at least to gamers, to cheerlead for it and say, hey, this is my brand new game, can be so successful. And yet all lawbreakers can crash and burn.
Yeah. It's
really I mean it's a good story.
Well, hopefully we'll get there. We're not there yet, but we're making good progress.
All right, it's time now to get into rapid fire. This is very simple. We're gonna take turns asking you a bunch of really stupid questions. Some of them are gonna be good questions though, and we're just gonna give us an answer. You're just gonna give us an answer. My questions I'm gonna theme my questions, and it's gonna be based on the skins of Splitgate. So I'm going to give you a B, C, D, or even F list franchise that you could partner with somewhere. You could call somebody. Okay, and possibly get something done somewhere. And I want you a yes or a no if it's something that you think would be cool for the game. So I'm going to start off.
It's a franchise, and would we do a partnership?
Yes, you would do in the game? Exactly.
Okay. So like Master Chief, for example, would we put that
right,
in the game?
Which would never happen. But here's one for you. Big Bad Beetleborgs.
It's already off to a question.
No. Oh, man. Beetleborgs are great. Taylor, we're going to go to you, and then we'll go to Andy.
Yeah. Teabag confirmed. Who came up with the name?
I did.
Nice.
Pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so.
Please
I came up with the idea.
Yeah, please explain what that is, because when we saw that, we were like, oh my God, this is perfect.
I literally spit my drink out on my keyboard when I read that.
Yeah,
first.
That's a funny long story, actually. So this was PAX East 2018. So you guys were at 2019, not 2018?
Yes, we did 19 and 20, yeah.
Okay, so 2018, we had a really tiny booth, kind of in the back left corner, and great show. It was a great show for us. Like the next day on Twitter, this journalist who we had never met tweeted that she was at PAX East and some game, and to this day, I don't know if she was referring to us or not, but she said that she went to some indie game first-person shooter. She got, friendly fired by a dev and then teabagged, and how she was just horrified at how terrible this was.
Violated.
Yeah. And she didn't ever, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. She never said it was us, so she could be telling the truth. Separately, though, we had like a week ago posted a video of gameplay footage. And during this gameplay footage, my co-founder kills me and teabags me. And someone else then put two and two together and linked this video on her tweet and said, hey, it was the Splitgate guys. They're the ones who did it. You can see it like at 5 minutes in, the teabagging occurs here. And so this kind of spiraled out of control. And we're like, whoa, like, we didn't do this. We didn't even meet this person. Our game doesn't even have friendly fire, by the way. So we didn't do that. And so everyone then came out in our support because we were kind of the innocent indie dev that was being wrongly accused. And then, I mean, I don't know how this happened exactly, but we just thought, hey, how funny would it be? We've got all these people like actively, cheering us on Twitter. And because our view on teabagging was kind of like, no, we didn't do it, but like, if we did, who really, like, it's not a big deal. Like, why is this a big deal in the first place? And so, and we saw that. And the other thing we saw with the comments was a lot of people saying like, oh, like, that's awesome that they did that. Like, I would teabag this journalist too, or whatever. And so we're kind of like, okay, guys, like, we didn't do it, but teabagging's been around forever. It's harmless. It's all fun and games, and then, people responded really, really well to that. And so we're like, okay, people are loving, we're going in this direction and people are loving it. So how hard would it be to, create this teabag confirmed mode where you basically just have to, it's just kill confirmed, but you have to teabag. Like, it's just literally crouch twice. That's so easy to code. We could do that in a day. And so we did that and just everybody loved it. And it stuck around because we see that. And that's another one of those things where, you get that small percentage of people that see it. And I think we got a negative review the other day saying how it's really offensive. But, most people see that and they think this is hilarious. So
self-awareness.
People don't get that it's mainly psychological warfare with any online game. That's the bulk of it. Sure, skills involved, but it's all psychology. And if that can break you, maybe you should be playing.
And we actually track teabags, so you'll see on your stats.
Oh, that's incredible. So good. That's so good.
Yeah. There was I forget if it was Splitgate or if we were playing Call of Duty, but there was one where I killed somebody and then I crouched and walked and I was like, oh no, he thinks I just teabagged on him because I was trying to like peek around the corner and I felt so bad that I teabagged this guy because I have no business teabagging anybody ever. Even in teabag confirmed, I'm gonna be like, no, not for me, dog. I can't. I'm not the one to be flaunting a teabag.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, Andy, you're up.
Would you rather have a woodpecker on your shoulder that pecks at your head throughout the day randomly, or have a foghorn that would interrupt you as you were speaking throughout the day?
Probably woodpecker.
Woodpecker. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Now, I don't know. This is a deep cut here, and you might have to Google it. But there was a cartoon that I was obsessed with as a kid. I think it only had 2 seasons, but it was called The Centaurians.
It's one of the best cartoons ever.
The fucking cartoon was dope. They had these suits that had holes in them all over, and then they would be like, Ace McCloud, aerial specialist, and he would...
Jake Rockwell, the whole...
Jake Rockwell.
I'm Googling it now.
And they would hold their arms out, and they would get all these parts, like missile, and a wing, and a Gatling gun on the arm, and they would all, for their mission, boom. Now that's an option right there. You get some skins from the Centaurians. So
I think I'd be down with that one.
Hell yeah, you would. Hell yeah.
It fits the theme enough for me.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would. Taylor?
What's your go-to fast food?
Oh, Taco Bell, easily.
Hell yeah.
I love Taco Bell. Big fan.
If any song could play when you entered a room, what song would that be?
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think of something funny, but nothing is coming to mind. If any song could play when I entered a room, I don't know. I'm a big country music fan, but I don't think any of that would fit.
Would you pick a song that would, on a more serious note, that would speak about who you are as a person, or just to troll people?
I'm just going to say, I'm just going to go with, Well, I'm just gonna go with my number one most listened to song of the year, which is "Down to One" by Luke Bryan.
All righty.
Has nothing to do with me entering a room, but it's a great song. It's the song I'm listening to these days. So
that's fair. I'm gonna switch gears on you because this question came to my mind, and then I'll go back to my original gear. If you were controlled by a video game controller, who in your life would you want behind that controller?
My mom. Definitely.
She knows
my mom
knows
and
how
I
to
have
handle
the
those dual
exact-
analogs, bro.
That's a good point. Well, that's a good point.
Because I know my mom would just
more-
be looking at the fucking ceiling like me when I'm playing Apex blindfolded.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take that back then, because I trust that she would have good intentions, but I don't think. Yeah, exactly that.
I mean, we hope that moms have good intentions.
I mean, she'll practice. You know, she's not going to want to hurt you. She will put the work in.
I think I would let Zach. He's my best friend and works at the company with me as well. He's our director of partnerships.
Fair.
And he can control a controller. Competent enough, at least.
I know a guy named Zach. He'd be the last guy I'd pick to control my life.
Yeah.
I agree with
Correct.
that, Andy.
Correct. Hi, Zach. How are you? Thank you for listening.
What is your favorite game to play that isn't Splitgate?
Well, I mean, I'm not playing it these days. I would say Halo 2 is my favorite game other than Splitgate. I mean, these days, I'm not really playing anything. I am getting a PS5 though soon, and I'm looking forward to playing Demon's Souls.
Yes.
It's so good.
I was so I had Demon's Souls when it came out on PS3, and I did not understand it at all, and I thought it sucked. But then I later understood, like, okay, I get it now. It's supposed to be hard and difficult and rewarding. So I loved Dark Souls and I loved Bloodborne, and now I'm like, okay, this is my opportunity to, kind of redeem myself for abandoning Demon's Souls all these years ago.
What was your reaction when you saw the Halo Infinite footage?
I mean,
as a Halo fan,
yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I was a little underwhelmed, definitely. I was expecting more, but I mean, I think Halo Infinite will be good. Like, I don't take anything away from them. My reaction was actually, my honest reaction was, this is not coming out like this year.
Yeah, there it is.
Mask. Mobile Armored Strike Command.
Oh my god.
Man, these are
1985, 1986 cartoon marketing juggernaut. Toy juggernaut that was absolutely trounced by G.I. Joe.
So you're saying, would I put one of these characters into the
Mask
game?
is dope. Mask has got some cool costumes, bro. And
I would do this.
Listen, who's playing your game? It's the 30 to 40 somethings. You know what I mean? Those are the guys you got to get. Those are the nostalgia nerds. You got to get them.
Yeah, I'd do this.
Hell yeah, you would. Taylor?
What's your favorite gun?
In Splitgate?
Yeah.
I think the shotgun is the most satisfying gun to use, but I normally let my teammates pick it up for me. But no, I'd say I think I'm trying to decide. Do I think it's between shotgun and sniper for me? I guess I'd probably say shotgun.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Nope.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
Steve's just bringing up all these cartoons from his
Starship Troopers was a movie, okay?
That was a great film.
Awesome film.
With what's her face in it? Denise Richards, with her great performance. It's breathtaking. She was a revelation in that movie.
I love that I've yet to find something you actually know. That's like my favorite part right now.
Yeah, so yeah, I'd do some of these. I'm looking at this. I don't know if I would do the one with the like kind of open face helmet, but
Sure.
One of these pictures is pretty cool, actually.
Sweet. Taylor?
do you put both socks on and then both shoes, or left foot, right foot, or vice versa?
I do both socks and then both shoes.
Yeah, who does left foot, left shoe?
Psychopaths, Andy.
Yeah,
Psychopaths.
what kind of serial killers do you?
My wife does.
Yeah.
This is why I asked this question, because it's the weirdest shit, and I need to prove to her that she's insane.
What word best describes you when you're drunk?
I don't drink, so I cannot answer that question.
And that is the end of the show. Thank you for listening,
the answer
everybody.
Is sober, sir. Todd McFarlane's Spawn.
Todd McFarlane's
Spawn. I'm sure you know Spawn. You know Spawn. Look at those.
I don't.
Oh my god. Say what?
Oh yeah, I'd do. These are all cool. I mean, I would do this.
These are things we could do. I mean, I'll get on the horn right now. I'll start making phone calls. We'll get these deals done. Boom, out of here.
Hey, do it. Let's do it.
All right, we're gonna.
You have a
go
Beetleborgs contact.
The Beetle is that Saban? Right? Wasn't that Saban? Saban's dying. Saban's dying to sell that shit. I'm pretty sure that's Saban. After he briefly lost the Power Rangers, he was like, "Beetleborgs, we got it. We figured it out." All right, we're gonna go around the horn one more time, and then we'll wrap it up.
If they were doing a biopic of your life, who would you want to play you?
I don't know. So I had to pick a famous actor that would play me.
Yeah, or a not famous actor.
I guess I'd pick Leonardo DiCaprio.
That's not terrible.
I could see it. What is the dumbest way you've ever injured yourself?
Well, this wasn't exactly. I guess it's an injury. It was a cut, but I've got relatives in Indiana, and they live in a small farm town. And they've got a massive farm, and we set up a bunch of explosives of tannerite and gasoline, and just like this giant, basically bomb. And
things are certainly getting interesting.
So my family owns guns. I had a hunting rifle, and I'm going to shoot it to blow it up and get this awesome satisfaction. And I did actually shoot it and blow it up. But the way that the barn fence was angled was just very awkward. So I had to kind of like bend over in this weird position. And so I wasn't holding the gun well and like firmly. And so I ended up scoping myself, if you've ever heard the term. So I did get the satisfaction of like literally blowing up this massive bomb, but I got this permanent scar. Right, it's not that visible anymore, but you can see that little scar right there that I got because I was not holding the gun correctly.
All right, now it is time. Yeah, listen, you were excited about blowing up the bomb. You missed some calculations, whatever. Next time you're going to go blow up a bomb with a rifle, you'll know exactly what to do. All right, so now it is time for the ceremonial, the what's the word I'm looking for here? It's the final question, and it is the one that we ask of all of our guests. It is the most important question. And now there is a variable to this question that has never been here before. So this is going to be very interesting to see how you answer this. Of course, off the cuff and as quickly as possible with no bullshit answers. Okay.
All right, I'm ready.
This is just understand that there's a lot riding on this for a lot of people.
It's a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal. Andy, Steve, or Taylor?
Oh, wow.
Interpret it how you will. What does it mean? What does it mean? It's all up to you.
Man, this is a lot of pressure. Andy, Steve, or Taylor?
I'm going to look at the camera that you see. And supposed to the camera I'm recording on.
I'm going to go with Taylor.
Okay.
The new guy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, new guy.
Hell yeah.
Okay, new guy. Chalk one up for the new guy. All right. Andy, does this piss you off as much as it pisses me off?
This is the first and last time he does this with us.
You son of a bitch. You took our shit. All right, folks, that is going to bring us to the end of the show. Remember, if we're not when we're not interviewing guests, you could also check our other content. We do the Dual Screens Crossplay podcast every single Tuesday night live on twitch.tv/Dual Screens streams. And that video on demand version goes up on Wednesday nights and also will go up audio right after the show is completed. If you want to support us on Patreon, please do so by going to patreon.com/NDS podcast. Just like our Patreon producers, Colton the Apprentice Nestler and FNH Paul, we cannot continue to grow without all of your support. And we want to thank you from the very bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much for making this year 2020, as shitty as it has been in so many other ways. You guys and your support throughout this year has been tremendous for us, and it's really helped us grow just faster than we ever thought we could. So thank you so much for supporting us. We appreciate it so very much. If you want to follow us on social media, we are at Duel_Screens on Twitter and at NDS Podcast on Instagram. We're working on changing that over to match Dual Screens. I am at Batchild27. Andy is at Pants Guy. And our Facebook group is facebook.com/groups/DS Podcasts. Our theme song is Retro Chatter by Bradley Parsons at Train Sound Studio. And our podcast overlays and logos were done by Missed Enough, a.k.a. Matt Murray, who's a longtime contributor to Dual Screens. Where could everybody find you and Splitgate and everything else, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, Splitgate it's easy to find on Steam. We're also on Twitter. We're on all social media. It's just at Splitgate. Definitely Discord as well. Discord.gg/Splitgate. That's if you want to talk to the devs or leave feedback or whatever, become part of the community. That's the best way to be, part of Splitgate is to join the Discord. Or just head to our website, 1047games.com.
Awesome. That's going to do it. Andy, is there anything you want to tell the kids before we say our final goodbyes?
No. This game is amazing. Don't be a dumb idiot and go play it. That's all I got to say about that.
I cannot agree more. Well, thank you, Andy. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, everybody. This has been the Dual Screens Podcast. And as always, please be excellent to each other.